In the last video, we were talking about cross-contour lines and how to do this on basic shapes. And as I said in this video, we'll be talking about doing this technique in our drawings. We explain what are cross-contour lines and why are they important in the last tutorial. Essentially, cross-contour lines are drawn lines which travel across the form and describe the form and three-dimensionality of an object or surface. The line is one of the most critical elements of art, not excluding color, shape, form, texture, value, and space. There would be no art without lines. You can modify a subject's form with variations in the lines to depict objects realistically. We use contour lines to define the edges of objects and details within them. Contour lines are visible lines or lines defined by contrast. We can actually see contour lines in most circumstances. Cross-contour lines may or may not be visible on the subject. Instead of defining the edges and details of the subject, cross-contour lines describe the form. They are lines that cross and flow over the form of the object. Cross contours don't have to be obvious. They indicate the direction and the imagination fills in the rest. A good way to understand this concept is to take your finger and move it slowly over the surface of an object, following a straight path. Watch your finger as you move it and try to imagine that it is leaving a line as it moves. Your finger will move and change direction according to the form. In a similar way, we can use cross-contour lines to show the surface features of objects. Creating a cross-contour drawing helps us create a more realistic illustration. They give us a closer look at the topography of the objects we're drawing, showing us the lumps, the bumps, and other details we need to make a realistic illustration. These concepts are important for drawing and painting to help you make decisions regarding the direction of your stroke and communicating form, regardless of the medium you choose, pen, pencil, brush, or anything else. The strokes that are made with a pencil or a brush should flow in harmony with the cross contours of the subject. Just like if you were to run your finger over the form, these strokes will change direction in the same manner. This is true for any drawing or painting medium. When combined with a consistent use of value, the illusion of form in a drawing or painting is easily achieved. Using simple lines can alter your drawing and make it look much more accurate. A few lines can describe forms. It helps you visualize objects and understand how they related to the space they occupied. Another way to understand contour lines is to see them as changes in elevation, like on a topographical map. Lines on a topographical map are closer together in locations where the elevation changes. But the best way to understand the concept of cross-contour lines is to simply practice drawing them by observing a subject. Simple objects like an apple work best if you're new to this concept. Apples are often used to illustrate the principle because they have a simple round shape and it's easy to understand it on circular shapes. In this drawing we can see the contours of an apple, but it still looks flat. We need to add some inner contour lines to help us understand what we see better. Not all contours exist along the edges of a subject. It includes changes of plane within the form. Once we add the inner contour lines, the drawing makes more sense. To give this apple more dimensionality, we need to add cross contours. First, ask yourself, what does this object look like and resemble? A sphere, cylinder, cone, ellipsoid, or box? We can draw the contours better if we know what kind of shape we're dealing with. So find the most similar basic shape to your object first, and then according to the explanation in the previous video, draw cross contour lines on your subject. We can imagine the object is transparent and draw it through the other side. A pear or a ball will have a rounded surface along the body. Some pears have a slight cylindrical shape on the upper section, but a book will have a flat surface. A bell pepper or a pumpkin has long grooves along the side and curved bumps. Notice the lines will curve sharply at the edges. To show the bumps and grooves on a pumpkin, I like to draw my contour lines like this. My cross contour lines are facing the middle line but curving away from it. just like this shape which has a bump in this section, and I try to show this by leaving more space between these lines. So the greater the distance between the lines, the more protrusion we have in that part. And to show the grooves, I draw the lines closer together. As you see, these lines are facing outwards while curving inwards. The lines tend to bend to the left on the left side, and they tend to bend to the right on the right side. The main point in understanding topography is that each contour line represents a change in elevation, as I mentioned. Lines that are close together show steep inclines. Lines farther apart represent a gradual slope. Like any skill or technique, it's going to take time. Choose a subject, and as I always say, start with simple objects and then after a few tries, go for more challenging ones. And create your own cross-contour drawing. Keep pencil lines light at the first layer so you can erase them out if a mistake happens. You also need to try this skill with many other items you can find at home. With good practice, you can grow this skill. Another point you need to pay attention to while using these cross-contour lines is the eye level. Let's say our eye level or horizon line in this picture plane is right here. In this case, the middle of my shape is exactly placed on the horizon line, so I'll have a completely straight line in the middle. And as I move upwards or downwards, I'll curve my strokes to give it the illusion of depth and perspective. The curves on the lower part will be faced upwards, and the curves on the upper part will be faced downwards. By understanding contours and lines, you can easily create the illusion of form in your artworks. I hope this was a useful tutorial for you. Please feel free to ask questions if you think you still need more hints and are still confused about the subject. And thanks for watching. I'll see you for the next tutorial.